Good evening, and welcome to another commercial episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your commiserating and comatose host, Voice of Doom. Okay. I'm probably going to do more diatribes, even though I said I probably wasn't going to do many more, because things always happen. And I watch YouTube all day and watch things happen, and then I have to make comments. Okay, so Thanksgiving came and Thanksgiving went, and I was home alone. And all I really wanted to do was rake leaves and clean up my yard and clean the house. And I knew that my family was basically gone, except for my son, who's in El Paso. And I really have no friends to speak of. I do, but I was fine with being alone. I don't have a problem with that. So I was at home, and neighbor comes by, knocks on the door and says, "Would you like to come over for Thanksgiving?" And I told him that I had plans, but thank you, and I appreciate it, but I really didn't really want to go to somebody's house to have Thanksgiving just for the sake of having Thanksgiving. I don't like these mass herd mentality holidays where just because it's the fourth Thursday in November we must get a turkey and must have a big feast. I don't follow the crowd, never have, never will. But I ended up making myself, I grabbed one of these chicken prosciutto stuffed chicken breasts I have in my freezer and fixed it up for myself and made myself a little meal, and I had a meal. And I was very happy to have it. But at the same time, a member of the National Guard who was 20 years old, female, died because she had the audacity to walk down the streets of D.C. just to keep the peace and make people feel secure. And some maniac from Afghanistan decided to make a cross-country trip to shoot some people. Now, the repercussions of that, just besides the national repercussions, the guy could have just lived in Bellingham, Washington, could have done all the paperwork to establish himself in this here United States with his 5 kids and wife, and instead he decides to drive across the country to shoot people. Now, what's going to become of those 5 kids? They're going to be deported along with the wife. It stands to reason. So he ruined his own family for what? And I'm alone on Thanksgiving, but I can't help but feel sorry for the parents of the person and the parents of the 2 people that were shot that have to spend Thanksgiving in a hospital room or in a mortuary. Now, I don't have to expostulate or expand on any of that. It's tragic, and it shouldn't have to happen. And to have any of these political idiots going back and forth about who was at fault is disgusting. To use it for some sort of political gain. I mean, it's so disgusting. I wish the whole government would be overthrown, lock, stock, and barrel. There's no reason for it. It's not functioning. Everybody knows it's not functioning. It should be gone. Keep the Lincoln Memorial. Keep the museums. Keep Roosevelt Island. Keep Ford's Theater intact, but get rid of everybody in there. Just get them out. Deport them. I don't care where. But it's a tragic situation. Now, I'm going to talk about something that has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the economy and has to do with people and their attitudes. Now, today was Black Friday, and I went to work for a day shift, and I knew it would be reasonably busy because the place I work in is in the middle of a busy shopping, area. So I knew that people, because they have to follow the crowd, everybody has to do what everybody else does. It's Black Friday, I gotta go out and start shopping. And then go out to lunch. So the place was a madhouse, the place was a zoo. And I didn't mind it. But I realized, contrary to popular belief, people still have money in their pocket. Because there was parties of 20 and 30 coming into that restaurant and spending hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, to have lunch. Which is fine. I'm glad if one person can treat 20 of their relatives to lunch. That's fine with me. But they were saying on the radio that this Christmas season will be the busiest in all history. So, even though people are living in their vans, even though people can't afford to pay their rent, they can't afford their utility bills, they can't afford their insurance, their medical, whatever, they still have money to spend for the holidays. Now, I've talked about holidays before. I've talked about how our family, by and large, has eschewed such commercial trappings of holidays. Jesus Christ died for our sins, so let's have a holiday on Christmas and spend ourselves into debt. Now, I belong to a religion that's a Buddhist religion, and we have as our main source of information and our inspiration Nichiren Daishonin, who was a 13th century monk who did a lot of analysis on what the true meaning of Buddhism was. Now, if 50 years from now they had shopping sprees going on for Nichiren's birthday, I would say, yeah, everything's gone bad. That's not respectful. And I don't think it's respectful. I like the lights, I like the music, I like the camaraderie and the overall ambiance of the Christmas holidays. But all this, waiting in line at Walmart or at Target or wherever, with your face pressed up against the window waiting for it to open up on midnight for some big Black Friday extravaganza, is pretty much disgusting to me. But that's their thing. I don't have anything to do with that. But let me tell you how to do Christmas in the correct way. And I'm not talking about going to church or lighting candles. I'm saying Christmas is a commercial holiday. It has nothing to do with Jesus. But if you have a family and you have kids, then you want to give them a good Christmas. because they expect it and they're hopeful and they're excited. So you don't want to just say, we don't do Christmas, so forget it. What'd you get for Christmas? Nothing. I mean, you don't want to do that to your kids. But let me explain a very simple way to do this without taking your Visa and MasterCard and Discover and maxing it out. Now, I had kids, and then when they were like 6 and 8 or 9 years old, and they were excited about Christmas, I realized that kids don't need, a yacht. Kids like to open up presents. It's exciting to them. So when we knew that we didn't have a whole hell of a lot of money, I would take like $30 or $50 and go to the 99-cent store or places of that nature and just buy, $10 or $20 or $30 toys out of the toy area. And then you spend another couple dollars on wrapping paper. And you wrap it all up and put all those toys under the tree, and the kids' eyes light up. And they're excited. They open up their little Tonka trucks and their little... I bought a lot of good toys for $1, believe it or not. Super balls or this or that, swimming things, whatever. And they were very happy just to open up the presents. Now, I remember in the 60s and 70s, my parents did a lot for us in Christmas. I would get a bike one year. I would get a bowling ball. I'd get a tennis racket. And then they always give you underwear and socks, which is like, yeah, okay, thanks. But they need to buy you socks and underwear anyway, so you may as well kill two birds. So you get your socks and underwear, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll put that in the pile. But you get your stockings, and you get your candy, and all's right with the world. You don't have to spend yourself into oblivion to make your kids happy. And I made it very clear to my kids when they were very young that Christmas is not a commercial holiday for you to just amass toys. It's supposed to be a holy holiday, even though we didn't celebrate it in the way they did. We still have respect. And then one year I go up to Benjamin, my son, and I say, what do you want for Christmas this year? And he goes, I don't want anything. I have everything I need. I have everything I want. I don't want anything. And I realized I did a good job by making him realize that life wasn't all just gimme, gimme, gimme. But yeah, it was busy today, and we're probably going to have a blockbuster Christmas again. We're going to outseed and exceed all expectations in spending. It's going to be a great Christmas for the economy. I don't know how Jesus is, but it's going to be a great Christmas for everybody. When the bills come due in January and February, well, we'll see what happens. Use your tax return to pay off all the debt you accumulated. But I wanted to throw in a few things about the holidays, and we're going to keep on going. We'll be all right this year. Christmas will happen. There will be parades. There might be a few shootings and mass killings here and there, but that's to be expected. But we'll see what happens, and enjoy this end of November and going into December, and let's hope everything goes well. I want to offer my condolences to the parents of the National Guardsman who was killed because their Thanksgiving was ruined. in the most tragic way possible. I can't imagine, well, I can imagine it because I lost somebody right before Christmas, but we knew it was coming. It wasn't out of the blue. So I'll just leave it there. It's not that much to say today. Just wanted to get a few things off my chest. But that's how you do Christmas. Kids don't need, $10,000 worth of presents. They just like to open up the presents. It doesn't cost that much. So if you're poor or you're struggling, just remember, 20 or 30 bucks at the dollar store will afford you a nice Christmas for a 5 or 6 year old. So that's that. Something to think about. Goodbye.